guys, it's me, Laura. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, ages 4, 9, and 11, and today I'm going to share with you what we have planned for our unit studies for the 2022-2023 school year. And I am going to share with you the finalized plans for first semester, and I'm still working on all of the stuff for second semester. The way that we do unit studies, every unit study has to have 2 things, and that is a nonfiction base, which usually is a book, sometimes it's something else, and we also have a read aloud. Now, I really would love to, if I had just unlimited time, I would do literature-based unit studies. I do some of those, but they take a long time to plan. And the literature-based unit study is when you have a book, a good read aloud, and everything branches off from that. And in a perfect world, I would have all of that. But we do have a read aloud that plays, for some units, a larger role than other units. And then, like I said, a nonfiction spine, and then we usually will do activities that go along with it, and my kids learn really well from video. So I utilize YouTube's, documentaries, all sorts of other things to plug into the unit as well. My 4-year-old usually just tags along. She does some of it, she doesn't do some of it. I don't make a big deal about it, but she's definitely welcome to join us, but obviously she does not have to for all of these units. So we are this year finishing up our U.S. history units. We've been doing U.S. history for a long time, but the nice thing about unit studies is we've also slotted in some world history here and there, but we tend to do a history unit and then a science unit, or a fun unit and then a history and then a science or fun, like interest-based unit, just to kind of keep things interesting and up to date. So we're currently finishing our gardening unit study, and just the way that I track all of these is once I have a unit study complete, I will write it on my list kind of in the order that I think we'll do it. Sometimes it gets changed. That's okay. This just lets me know this unit study is done. This is about when it's going to be. And then I'll put a date in pencil, like the month or how long I think it's going to take, so I can kind of get a feel for what I think it might look like. And of course, all of that can change. And then I have, these are just large sticky notes. And this is where I keep track of units that I'm working on, ideas that the kids have that they want for a unit. So I've got some history ones over here, some science or high interest ones here, and I keep track of resources that I might want to check out, or read alouds that I want to see if they'll work. And then once I have the unit done, I take this sticky note off and I will add it to my list. So that is kind of how I keep track of them all. So the first unit that we're going to be doing is a 1920s unit. I debated on doing this. This is going to be kind of a mini unit, but we just had finished up World War I, and I didn't want to go straight into the Great Depression and World War II without having some kind of upbeat something. So this is The Secret School by Avi. It is set in 1920. It's not huge as far as painting a picture of that time period in the sense of the Roaring 20s, but it is certainly a fun little read about a girl who their teacher, they live in a rural area, and their teacher needs to leave to go take care of her sick mother, but this girl desperately wants to graduate from 8th grade. So she sneaks, and they have a school, and she's the teacher, and they don't tell any of the adults because they're afraid the adults will shut it down. So it's a really cute story. This one is great read for the whole family. So this is what we'll be reading. And for this, we're trying something a little bit different. We are going to use a Who Was book for our nonfiction spine. And I have paired this with some really great videos and all kinds of things to kind of help it come alive. So that is what we have for the Roaring 20s. Again, that's going to be a smaller unit study. Oh, I also have this. So my kids really like graphic novels, and a really big part of our units is book basket. And I don't always just have things for the units in book basket, but I try to make sure that there are lots of resources in our book basket. And we have one time a day where we all get together and everyone picks books and we read together, and there's so much learning that happens, and we can cover so much more by doing that, because we get picture books, we get graphic novels, we get all sorts of things, and it gives us a better picture of what we're studying. So this will go in our book basket for that. So the next unit is one that my son requested, and it is kind of a dual unit. It's a survival / literature-based / birds of prey kind of unit, and our literature spine for that is going to be My Side of the Mountain. I think my kids will really enjoy this. We live near a birds of prey preserve, and we plan to go camping there this year and help them do owl banding, where they keep track of all the birds of prey in the area. So I'm going to try to do this unit as close to that trip as I possibly can. The boys have gone in previous years to help do songbirds banding, and so this year we're going to try to help with the birds of prey, and so we're going to read this book. And my son really wanted to pair it with this book, so there's a lot of survival skills and other kinds of outdoor activities that he wanted us to really do for school. So I've gone through and paired activities from this with this, and then we also have this will go in our unit, in our book basket. The kids really enjoy these science comics, and so this will teach us a little bit more about birds of prey. So then we have this as kind of our nonfiction spine. So it's a little bit of a different unit. So we have a birds of prey nonfiction spine, and then this is mostly where I'm getting my ideas for the activities for the unit, and then we have this as our read aloud. So that's going to be, I'm calling it our birds of prey unit study. I should probably call it my side of the mountain unit study, but that's going to be our next unit study approximately. Then we're moving to the Great Depression. So this is the read aloud that we're going to be doing for the Great Depression, Someplace to Call Home. I love this book. It is such a sweet story about community and family, and just talks a lot about the struggles of this time period. So there's a lot of activities that we're going to be doing that come straight from this. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on actually cooking during the Great Depression and making things last and that kind of thing during this one. And then this is another series that we really enjoy for a spine, is the Great Depression for kids. Now I have found that their history spines tend to be better than their science spines, but I don't know, we're kind of playing with it. So I might be, if the Who Was works well as a spine, I might kind of move over to that. But generally what we'll do is we'll read from here and then we watch videos to reinforce what we're learning. But this one, as I was prepping, I found is actually really engaging in the way that it's written. And so I think that this one's going to be really, really good for that. They're not all written by the same author. So if you find one and you don't like it, it might just be that particular author or that particular book. But there's also lots of activities in here that we plan to utilize, so that will be really good. And then I got, this is a new, I really enjoyed the Tales of Young American series. I didn't realize they were still making books, but this is a new one that came out called Summer of the Tree Army, and it's about the Civilian Conservation Corps that happened during the Great Depression. So this is definitely going to go in our book basket for that. And I also will utilize our libraries. We have a very local library and then a bigger library because we live in a very rural area. So we have a nice local library, and then we have a bigger library in town that I have a membership for. So I will pull resources from those libraries to put in our book basket as well. I did find some books that I want the kids to read. So we're going to pause lightning literature, so it might not be exactly lockstep with the thing, but whenever they get to the end of the book, if it's right before we're about to start the unit, or we're in the middle of the Great Depression unit, or wherever makes sense, we're going to stop what they're doing before moving on to the next book in lightning literature. And I'm going to be doing Stella by Starlight with my 4th grader. I got for both of these books novel studies on Teachers Pay Teachers, and I can definitely show you those more if you're interested in them, but I will be doing that instead of lightning literature for the Great Depression unit study, just to give them a little bit more of a picture. So this is Stella by Starlight. This is such a great book about not just the Great Depression, but also segregation and the Ku Klux Klan and some of that stuff. So this is a really good one, and I want to read that with him. And then this one is Esperanza Rising, and this I plan to do with my 6th grader. Again, I got a novel study from Teachers Pay Teachers, so we'll be doing the same kind of thing with this. And this is about a girl who lost her farm right around the time of the Great Depression, and the struggle in California and the Mexican farm workers and everything that they went through during that time. So this is the one for him. So once we've done Great Depression, we are moving on to a unit on cooking and kitchen chemistry, and I'm super excited about this one. I read the book Honestly Elliot, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's going to be perfect for our family. The main character has ADHD, which is something that we have in our home, and there's even a feature of depression cooking in here, which will be great coming after the Great Depression unit study. And I just think that this is going to be such a good book to give us lots of opportunities to discuss and talk and learn and grow. I'm super excited about that. And I actually have another kind of activity-ish kind of book in a spine. So this is the spine that we're going to be using. It's called Kitchen Chemistry, and it is by Nomad Press. So I actually really enjoy their books for science. I want to try some of their history and other stuff as well, but it is an excellent, excellent spine, and there's all sorts of just all sorts of great resources in here, and there's always lots of activities to do. So we'll be reading from this, and we might be doing some videos to kind of explore as well. There's lots of videos that are already linked in here, so that makes my work way easier, which is really awesome. And then as a secondary book for more activities, we're going to do the complete cookbook for young scientists. This is from America's Test Kitchen, and I love the way this is set up. Let me see if I can find one randomly. So what it does is it asks a question, a scientific question, then it has you do an experiment to try to answer it, and then it gives you several recipes that utilize whatever it is it was. So in this case, it's onions, because it asks, why do onions make you cry? What makes food brown? And so you do some experiments, and then you're going to be cooking some foods that you brown. And so anyway, this is just, I think it's going to be an excellent resource, a lot of fun. If you have a child who really enjoys cooking, this is a great way to incorporate some chemistry into that, and I think that this is going to be a lot of fun for this unit. After that unit, we are going to be moving on to World War II. World War II is done and not done. So I have all of the activities planned for the most part. I have my pages broken down, but things might change a little bit because when we're doing World War II, there's just so much to cover. So this is why a book basket is great. I plan to put all the things in the book basket, the Holocaust, just so many aspects of things that we can explore, especially through picture books now, through graphic novels, through other things. But I wanted our read aloud to be more home front based because this is American history. So we're going to be doing Yonder, which is an excellent book that talks about heroism, what it means to be a hero. And it is set during World War II, and the main character's father, is fighting in World War II. And anyway, it is just a really, really great book. I am trying to see, though, I would really like to include something about Japanese internment during World War II as read aloud for this. So I'm reading a bunch of books, and I may try to squeeze 2 read alouds in. This is just going to be a bigger unit because there's so much to it. If I can't find one, then I will assign, there's a few graphic novels I know about that would be great for my oldest, not so great for my younger ones. So if that's the case, then we'll just stick with this as our read aloud, and I will assign one of those graphic novels for my oldest to read on his own, and that will be okay. But I'm just still kind of playing with that. So this is final but not final, if that makes sense. So there's still a few things that might change, but that's what we're using for this. And then this is the nonfiction spine that we're going to be using. It's the Second World War from Usborne. This is Scholastic, but it's an Usborne thing. You can actually get this with World War I and World War II in one book as well. It comes a number of ways, but this is the way that I got it, and I really like this because it also has quick links, which the kids really enjoy. So we'll just do 1 or 2 sections from this a day and kind of work our way through to get a full picture of what World War II is like. And with this, of course, there are tons of resources and tons of stuff out there. So these are a few of the books that I have on hand that I know that I'm going to be including in our book basket. So this is, I have the last 2 books in the, what do you call it, a saga when there's 3? I'm not sure. But from Journey to America. So we read that during our immigration unit study, and it was about a Jewish family who had to flee Germany at the beginning of World War II. And so this follows the rest of their story once they're in America. And my son is very interested in this, so I'm going to put these in the book basket, and we might finish them together. This one is called Spies, Codebreakers, and Secret Agents, a World War II book for kids. And this one just talks a lot about different people who worked to crack codes and how codes were such an important part of the war, and it's got spying and just all kinds of stuff in here. And kind of in that same category, I have Code Girls. This is the Young Readers edition, and this is about the American women who broke code. So there's going to be some overlap in these 2 books, and they might not be interested in either of them, but they might pick one over the other. So I'm putting them both in. That's part of what's so great about Book Basket. We don't have to finish all the things, but we can go where they're really interested. And this one, I know that they're going to really enjoy. They love the History Smashers books, and this one is on Pearl Harbor. And I think this one will be especially interesting. We have a Hawaii trip planned in the future, and so I think that will kind of pique the interest in Pearl Harbor a little bit as well. So I'm definitely going to be putting this one in. And then this is a really sweet one that I read. I really enjoyed. Definitely a great family read aloud for World War II. So I will be including that in the book basket as well. And then these are 2 that I think are really important. So I definitely want to include information on the Navajo code talkers. It's starting to rain, guys. We have a metal roof, so that's that noise. I can't really do much about it. If it gets heavy, I'll have to stop and finish this video later. But this is a graphic novel about the Navajo code talkers, and I wanted to make sure to include that in the unit as well, as that is an extremely important part, and because it's a graphic novel, I'm pretty sure this is going to be one of the first books that they pick up. And then this is the World War II graphic novel by Campfire History. We read the World War I book and they absolutely loved it. That was in our book basket for that unit, and so I have no doubt they've already picked this up and started looking at it a little bit. And so I think this is going to be a really great addition to our book basket as well, and just another take and look at World War II. So that is what we have for World War II. There's a ton of stuff there. Of course, that's going to be, like I said, that's going to be a longer unit than we typically do, but I think that's okay. I have one child in particular who's very interested in this type of history, and so I think he's going to really enjoy it. And I have another child who I think is going to be interested in the human element of it because he really enjoys that. So the last complete unit study that I have planned for this year is a games and logic. So this is going to be kind of a fun unit study. Talks about game, talks about logic, talks about history, talks about science, just all kinds of stuff. But I found this book from Nomad Press, and it talks about what is a game, even pharaohs loved board games, modern game changers, your brain on game. Talks about why games are so fun, how to design a game, game development and beyond, and the future of games. And it talks about like modern elements and how technology is being added to games, and all sorts of stuff. So this is going to be really fun, and I'm super excited because it totally matches with Mr. Limoncello's Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library and this whole series. And I have been desperately looking for an excuse to include this as a read aloud in a unit study, and like there's just no better pairing. So for this one, at the end of the unit, the kids are going to make their own game, which I think is going to be really fun. And I think I might definitely have some game maker books and things like that in our book basket, but I've also planned to include games in the book basket. Like, I think that would be awesome. Why not play games, right? So anyway, I think that's going to be really fun, and I'm looking forward to this unit study. So that should get us through first semester and probably a little bit into second semester, because often these things take longer than I think they will. So we're going to kind of plan that. And then some of the other units that I'm working on planning for history, I hope to do a unit on the Cold War, which I wouldn't do, but I think the kids are very interested in what's going on with Ukraine right now and that whole history. And I think that doing a unit study on the Cold War will help them to understand that a little bit better, and it dovetails off of what they've learned from World War I and World War II, and I think it'll just give them a more complete picture. So I do hope that I can do that. I have not found a read aloud yet that I love, but I am still working on that. I'm thinking of doing the book Fallout for a nonfiction, but again, I'm not 100% sure on that. I will be doing a unit on the civil rights movement. I've got a couple of books that I'm looking at for nonfiction as well as read aloud. So I'm still looking for a read aloud for that one, but I've got a stack that I'm working through and just kind of working my way through. I'm planning to do a unit study on September 11th just because that's history that I lived through, and there's some personal stuff related to that, and it's something that the kids are really interested in. That will probably be more of a mini unit, but I have that one planned. And so that's that will wrap up, I think, where we're going to end American history and start moving into ancient history, which I'm really excited about. I may end up slotting some ancient history in here as we kind of finish, so we'll see how that goes. And as far as science and other fun unit studies, I'm working on a unit study on robots, which I think will be a lot of fun. My kids are begging for a dinosaur unit study, so I'm working really hard to pull that one together. And I'm also hoping to do a weather unit study. I'm still debating on how to come at this because there's extreme weather and then there's like regular everyday kind of weather. And so I'm just really trying to figure out how I'm going to come at this and what we're going to use for those. So that is what I have. And as far as how I keep track of these once I've got them, I use Google Docs. And I don't like spreadsheets, but the outcome needs to be similar to a spreadsheet. So I use tables on Google Docs. This is my binder, and I just have, each one is going to be a little bit different, but in general for every unit, like this is the 1920s unit, I'll have what chapters what we're reading for our read aloud, kind of what the topic for the day is, if there is one. Sometimes there's not one, sometimes there is. And then what we're reading in our nonfiction book, and then I'll put video links that match for the day here. Most of these are from YouTube. Some of them are things like Magic School Bus, or sometimes I'll find documentaries in other places. And then activities that we are going to do for the day go here. And so I kind of keep track of it that way. And then if there's an activity that needs more information, let's see, I have here. So this is a unit that I did more information on with the Great Depression. So for each of the days I have vocabulary, I have discussion questions, I have all of those things kind of written out. If there's any recipes, I'll list them by day afterwards. And so that's kind of how I do it all. I hope to have some plans for you to share on my website for free. And yeah, that is our units for the year. Let me know if you have any questions about these or if you want to see any of these resources up closely. I couldn't share really deeply because this is already a super long video, but those are our plans for the year. I'm very excited. I think the kids are really excited about some of these units, and yeah, that's what we have for the year. I'd love to hear what units or what topics you guys are going to be studying in your own homeschool this year, and I hope that you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.